I took in their mail while they vacationed for 6 weeks. When I left for one weekend, they reported my lawn to code enforcement. "Your weeds are making us look bad," she said. I got a fine, and then I found their unopened mail still in my closet. What I did next made them. I never really thought much of Barb and Steve. Just regular neighbors. A little stiff. Their yard always looked like a page from a gardening magazine, but that was about the most interesting thing about them. We'd lived next door for 5 years, did the usual nod and wave, made small talk about recycling pickup and weather. Then one day in early April, Barb came by while I was watering my front lawn. She smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, and asked if I could take care of a few things while they were gone. 6 weeks in Europe, she said, like it was no big deal. "We'd really appreciate it if you could bring in our mail, keep the plants alive. Oh. And if anything weird happens, maybe just shoot us a message." I said sure. I didn't ask for anything in return. They were neighbors. That's just what you do, right? The first couple of weeks went fine. They had one of those rotating garden timers, but I still watered the potted plants on the porch and inside. I brought in their mail every day, stacked it neatly on the kitchen counter. Then one day I had to clear space for some groceries and shoved the mail into a paper bag and put it in my hall closet. I figured I'd sort it later. I forgot about it. Week 3, week 4, I kept up the same routine. A few people stopped by, probably delivery drivers or something. Their car sat in the driveway the whole time. Barb made a big deal about how someone would be by every few days to move it around so the house doesn't look abandoned. They clearly cared about appearances. It wasn't until week 5 that things changed. That weekend, my sister came into town, and we drove up to the mountains for a little weekend getaway. Left Friday morning, came back Sunday evening. I hadn't been gone more than 48 hours. Monday morning, I'm making coffee, and I hear a knock. Not the friendly kind. The kind that says someone wants to deliver bad news. It's a woman from City Code Enforcement. Not smiling. Holding a clipboard like it's a weapon. "You've been cited for lawn violations," she says, like it's the most normal thing in the world. I blink. "What?" She points to my lawn. "Weeds over ordinance height. Several spots. You were issued a warning on Friday. The deadline passed. You'll receive a fine in the mail." I stepped out barefoot into the grass. There were a few dandelions, sure, and the grass was maybe slightly shaggy, but nothing serious. I'd mowed it the week before. We'd had rain. It wasn't pristine, but it wasn't overgrown either. I tried to explain, but she wasn't interested. "Your neighbors across the street filed the complaint. Said it's been an ongoing issue." "My neighbors, across the street?" She walked off, her boots clicking across the pavement, and I just stood there, hot coffee still in my hand, lawn-sided like I was some kind of negligent slacker. I was furious. I went inside, opened my laptop, and pulled up the city website. There it was. Violation of city code, front yard maintenance, $125 fine. I started pacing. I glanced out the window, and that's when I noticed Barb and Steve's yard. Perfect. Not just neat. Manicured. The kind of look you only get if you hire someone to come in and do weekly maintenance. But they hadn't mentioned that. They'd asked me to handle their house, not a landscaper. So why was their lawn better than mine? That's when it hit me, maybe they'd planned this. Maybe it wasn't just about their house looking good. Maybe it was about my house looking worse. That night, I sat on the floor near the closet and stared at the paper bag. I opened it. There it was, 5 weeks' worth of their mail. Catalogs, bills, some official-looking envelopes. A notice from the water company. A jury duty summons. My stomach turned. They had trusted me to bring in their mail, yes. But they hadn't asked me to open it, read it, or be their secretary. And clearly, they hadn't cared enough to come get it when they got back. Which meant they were back now. Quietly, without even stopping to say thanks. But they had enough energy to report me for weeds? That's when the anger really settled in. I took a photo of the unopened mail laid out across my kitchen table. I took a photo of their front lawn. I took a photo of my violation notice. Then I opened one of their envelopes, a credit card offer. Not important. Then another, an ad. But I kept opening. I didn't tamper, just opened and looked. Then resealed and slid it all back into the bag. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing: they thought they were better than me. They thought I wouldn't notice. But I did. And what I did next made them. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Barb's smug smile. I remembered her voice, polite but cold, when she first asked me to take care of things. We'd really appreciate it. Right. By Tuesday, I had a plan. First, I confirmed it. I drove by their house slowly around 7 a.m., pretending to walk my trash bin down the street. Their SUV was parked in the same exact spot as when they left, but there were fresh tire tracks in the driveway. And lights were on in the back den. They were home. No doubt about it. They'd come back quietly. No knock on my door. No thank you. No, hey, how'd things go while we were gone? Nothing. Just radio silence. But they'd had time to report me for lawn code violations. That was deliberate. That wasn't a neighborly mistake. That was mean-spirited. That night, I packed the entire paper bag of their mail into a reusable grocery tote, printed off the fine notice from the city's website, and walked over to their front door just after dark. Their porch light was on. I knocked once. Heard footsteps. Then silence. Another knock. Then the door creaked open. Barb stood there in her robe, mascara half-smeared like she hadn't fully unpacked her vacation yet. Her eyes flicked down to the bag. "You're back," I said. She gave me a smile that didn't even pretend to be real. "Yes, we got in a few days ago. You didn't stop by." She looked confused. "Should I have?" "I took care of your place for 6 weeks. Watered your plants. Took in your mail." I lifted the bag slowly. "Which you never came to get." Her face tightened. "We were busy. And we noticed your lawn was looking a little unkempt. Steve felt it was lowering property values." I nodded slowly. "So instead of saying something, you filed a complaint?" "I didn't file it," she said quickly. "We just mentioned it to Cheryl. She's the HOA lead. We assumed she'd talk to you." I didn't say anything. I just reached into the bag and pulled out a jury duty summons, hers, and held it out. "You missed this." Her eyes went wide for a split second before she grabbed it. "Where did you find, in your mail?" "Which was in my house." "Where you left it." She flushed a little. "We didn't ask you to open our mail." "I didn't. But I also didn't ask to get fined because I was out of town for 2 days while covering for you." There was a pause. Then she crossed her arms and said, "If you were really looking after your own house properly, this wouldn't have happened. We all have responsibilities, don't we?" And that's when I knew exactly what to do. I smiled, said nothing, and walked away. Calm. Quiet. The next morning, I filed my own report, with the city, and with the USPS. Technically, holding someone's mail for that long without them picking it up, especially if it includes important legal documents, isn't just irresponsible. It can be considered mail hoarding or abandonment under certain circumstances. I also submitted a statement to the HOA about the false complaint. Attached photos of their mail. The timestamps from my home camera showing I wasn't even in town the day they claimed I let my lawn go. Then I dropped one more thing in the neighborhood group chat, a single photo of Barb's jury summons sitting in my closet. No caption. Just the image. Within hours, people were talking. And by the next weekend, the HOA head Cheryl had come knocking, not on my door, but Barb's. And what happened after that? The thing about suburban neighborhoods is that everything looks calm on the surface. But people talk. And once a story gets out, it spreads like wildfire, especially when it's about someone like Barb. By Monday, I was getting polite waves from neighbors who'd never looked twice at me. A few even crossed the street to say hi. I didn't say much. Just nodded, kept my mouth shut, let them fill in their own blanks. But the best part came Tuesday morning. I was sipping my coffee, watching the recycling truck roll down the street, when I noticed a silver Lexus idling in front of Barb and Steve's house. A woman stepped out in a navy blazer, clipboard in hand. City enforcement, again. I watched as she knocked on Barb's door, waited, then began walking the perimeter of the property with a tablet. She paused near the side fence. Took photos. Wrote something down. Barb came out a few minutes later, robe wrapped tight, clearly mid-argument. I couldn't hear them, but her body language was unmistakable: tight jaw, defensive posture, arms folded like she was trying to hold the house together with attitude. Then Steve came out. He looked like hell. Red-faced, still in sweatpants, hair wild like he hadn't slept. He kept trying to explain something, gesturing toward the mailbox, the fence, even the backyard. But the inspector didn't care. I found out later through Cheryl, HOA president and, apparently, a walking database of neighbor infractions, that Barb and Steve had violated 2 clauses in the HOA agreement. One for failing to submit a notification of extended absence, which they skipped, assuming no one would care, and another for employing outside yard services during prohibited hours without documentation. Then came the real kicker. Barb's jury summons? The one she ignored? Yeah. Turns out she missed her reporting date. Completely forgot. And when I handed it to her, she still didn't respond. That photo I posted? Someone, maybe Cheryl, maybe another neighbor, forwarded it to the county office. Warrant for failure to appear. I don't know if she was arrested, but I do know she had to go down to the courthouse in person that Thursday. I saw her leave with a stack of paperwork and a face like stone. Steve stopped me outside the next morning. He didn't apologize. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, avoiding eye contact. "We're withdrawing the complaint," he muttered. "The lawn thing. Barb, she overreacted." I said nothing. Just sipped my coffee. She thought maybe it would keep the neighborhood up to standard, but it got out of hand. Still, I didn't say anything. He looked like he wanted me to. Finally, I asked, "Do you want your mail?" He nodded, embarrassed. I walked inside, grabbed the bag from the coat closet, and handed it over without a word. He took it like it weighed 50 pounds. I thought that might be the end of it. But then, a few days later, I got a call from someone I didn't recognize. The number was local. When I picked up, the voice on the other end was low, shaky. "Hi, is this the person who posted about the jury letter?" I said yes. "I think I'm Barb's sister." "I think I'm Barb's sister," the voice repeated. There was something strange in the way she said it. Like she wasn't totally sure. "I saw the post," she continued. "Someone forwarded it to me. I haven't talked to Barb in almost a year. But I recognized the handwriting on that envelope." There was a pause. I didn't know what to say. "She's not the same person," the woman went on. "Not since our dad died. She cut a lot of people out. Including me." I stayed quiet, letting her talk. "She used to be kind. I swear to God, she was the person who brought cupcakes to school on her birthday. Then she married Steve, moved into that house, and just hardened. Everything became about control. Appearances. I tried reaching out, but she blocked me. And now I find out she's throwing neighbor complaints and ignoring jury summons? That's not her. Or maybe it is now. I didn't know what she wanted from me." She sighed. "Anyway, I don't expect you to care. I just thought, maybe you should know." I thanked her, hung up, and sat with it for a while. Her words replayed in my head: she used to be kind. The next day, I saw Barb in her yard. Alone. Pulling weeds by hand, no gloves. Her face was sunburned, her movements slow. I watched her dig around the rose bushes I had once watered for her, carefully avoiding the thorns. She didn't look up once. Not even when I walked past. That weekend, I got a letter in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Typed. No greeting. Just this, you didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. I forgot what it means to be part of something. Thank you for not making it worse. I stared at the words for a long time. I don't know if Barb wrote it. There was no signature. But I recognized the tone, controlled, restrained, just like her voice when she asked for my help 6 weeks ago. I folded it and put it in the same closet where I had kept her mail. And for a while, I didn't think about it again. Until last week, when her house went quiet again. No cars. No lights. Mail starting to build up. But this time, no one asked me to collect it. I thought about picking up her mail again. Just out of habit. But I didn't. I just stood there on my porch, staring across the street, watching the wind scatter envelopes across her steps. And for the first time, I wondered if maybe all of us were just pretending to be good neighbors, until someone stops pretending first.